Hey guys, this is Dhruv and welcome back to my YouTube channel Programming Protein. Today we are going to do some C program related to the if-else concept. So let's begin. In the previous video we do some basic program related to the C language. So in this one we are going to do program related to the if-else concepts. Okay. So first of all, let's open our editor because it is the first step of execution. So let's open it. Click on start turbo C and this is our compiler and this is our first question. So the question is to check given number is even or not. Okay, so as we discussed this question in our algorithm video, so this is a decision making statement and this is a making question and has to solve by if else concept. Okay, so let's move on to our solution of this particular question, which is we need to include our header file which is required to compile this program, that is studio.h, and the second one is kunayo.h, as I discussed in the previous video. So I think you are well known about that. So these are two header file which we have to include in this program. Okay, so the main function and remaining program is this. As we have to check a number is even or not, so need a number which is input by the user, so we declare a variable that is x, which is of integer type. So after that, clear screen and we print a statement that enter a number to check whether it is even or odd. Okay, so this is optional. You can write whatever you want in the printf statement. Okay, the next statement is scanf. In this statement we save the value of x or the given number in the address of x. Okay, so let's move on to our main concept of this particular problem. So this is the main concept of this particular problem. So in the first statement we make a decision that if x is modulus by 2 is it double equal to 0, that means x, the number which is given by the user, is divided by 2, so that print given number is even. Okay, so if a number is divisible by 2, then the number is of course even. And in the else statement, that means if x is not divisible by 2, so it print given number is odd. Okay, so this is the decision making statement. If the decision is true, then it print given number is even. If the decision making statement is false, then it print given number is odd. So let's compile it and see what happens. So let's put 6. So 6 is a even number, so let's check for the odd one. So 5 is a odd one. Okay, so this is the problem which have this particular solution. So one thing you have to keep in your mind, that whenever you have to solve a problem with the programming languages, so the very first thing you need to know the basic concept behind that particular problem. So in this particular problem you first need to know about the even and odd numbers. If you don't know that what are even number and odd numbers, so you are not able to solve this particular problem's solution. Okay, so if you want to solve a problem, then first you need to know the basic thing which is used in the problem. Okay, so let's move on to our second problem, that is to check given year is leap or not. So to solve this problem, you first think you need to know what is leap year and what is the condition to check whether it is leap year or not. Okay, so the condition to check that it is a leap year or not, the first thing, if the given year is a century year, that is if it is divisible by 100, then it should be divisible by 400 to be a leap year. Okay, so let's take an example that 1900 is divisible by 100, that it is a century year, but it is not divisible by 400, so it is not a leap year. But 2000 is divisible by 100, so it is a century year, and it also divisible by 400, so it is a leap year. Now if the given year is not a century year, that means it is not divisible by 100, so it should be divisible by 4 to be a leap year. Now if the given year is not a century year and it is not divisible by 4, so it is a non-leap year. So these are some condition to check whether it is leap year or not. Let's see what is the solution of this particular problem in the programming language. So this is the solution of this particular problem. And we include the header files, and the first thing, we need to declare a variable which is used to store the given year which is given by the user. So we print the statement that enter a year to check whether it is a leap year or non leap year. This is again optional. For that, we save the year in the address of x, and by the use of is a scanf statement. Okay, so let's check the main condition of this particular problem. So firstly, we use the if statement to check whether it is a century year or not. So we check x is divisible by 100, is it double equal to 0. So if this condition is true, then it goes to the nested if and check whether the given year is completely divisible by 400 or not. If this condition is also true, then it prints given year is a leap year, because all the condition are true, and that it is a century year and it is also divisible by 400. Okay, so now if it is not divisible by 400, it is a century year and it is not divisible by 400, so it prints, it goes to the else and print given year is a non leap year. Okay, so this is the first if condition. And if it is not a century year, then it goes to the else if and check that x is divisible by 4. If it is divisible by 4, then it print given year is a leap year. The third thing is that it is not a century year and not divisible by 4, so it print given year is a non leap year. Okay, the first thing to solve a particular problem or any problem, we need to know the basic concept behind that particular problem and just convert it into the programming language. So these are the condition to check whether given year is a leap year or not. So let's compile it and see what happens. Okay, so let's input 1900 and check. Okay, the 1900 is a non-leap year. So again compile it and check for a leap year. So 2000, and see there it is a leap year. Okay, so this is the solution of particular problem, that to check given year is a leap year or not. So in the same way, you can also create your own problem and solve by your own, so that understand the concept deeply. Okay, so let's move on to our third problem, which is find the greatest number among three given numbers. So this is the problem which we solved in our algorithm and flowchart video. So it is quite simple. Okay, so I think many of you are know the basic concept of this particular problem. So let's move on to the solution of this particular problem. So these are the header file which we have to include, and this is the solution. So we declare three variables, that is x, y, z, to because there are three number in which we have to find the greatest. Okay, so these are the three variable which I declared, and after that we declare we print a statement that enter three number. You can see that I put three variables in the scanf statement. Okay, so you can pick any number of variables in a single statement. Okay, so if you, let's suppose that if you have to input two integer value and one character value, so you can also define in this statement that %d, %c and %d, and in the similar way address of x, address of y, address of z, because this format is specified direct reflect to the that first format is specified direct reflect to the first variable, second one to the second variable, third one to the third variable, and fourth one to the fourth variable, and so on. Okay, so single scanf statement you can store multiple variables. So this is the concept behind this program, that firstly you have to check if x is greater than y, and we put the logical AND operator between the two condition. And the use of AND operator, logical AND operator, is to check that both condition has to satisfy to print the if statement. Okay, so firstly it checks that x is greater than y and x is greater than z also. So if x is greater than y and z also, so obviously x is greatest, so we put a format specifier %d is greatest and comma variable, so it directly reflect to the x variable. In the same way we put the else if statement, that it checks if y is greater than x and y is also greater than z, so y is greatest obviously, Now these are the two conditions for x and y. If both the condition are false, so obviously z is greatest among the three, so we put this statement in the else one. Okay, so these are the three conditions which we have to check the to find the greatest number among the three given numbers. Okay, so let's compile it and see what happens. So it asks to enter three numbers, so we put 12, 43 and let's 22. Okay, so 43 is greatest. Okay, so it works well. This is the solution of this particular problem. Okay, so these are some questions related to the if else concept. I do not cover all the problems because if I cover, then video will become very large. If you want to understand this if else concept deeply, so find out the questions which is available on the internet and try the question by your own. Okay, so that's it for this video. If you like this video, then hit that like button. If you have any query regarding this content, then comment down below. I will try to solve your problem. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, then do subscribe please. I will come with the new videos every alternate days. Thank you.